All right, it's live on the website, live on Facebook, and I'm recording.
Okay, we still have a quorum at this point, so I think we should start. Hopefully Heather will join us.
Alrighty, I see somebody in the waiting room, but I don't recognize the username, but we'll let them in and see if they should be here.
That may be Heather. Her daughter's name is Ava.
Oh, okay, all right. Heather, is that you? Yes,
There she is.
that's Heather, okay,
We can see you, Heather.
okay.
Okay. All right, let's call to order this regular meeting of the Saratoga Springs Public Library Board of Trustees. It's June 13th, 2022. First order of business is the approval of minutes. There was a regular meeting on May 9th, and there was a special meeting on May 13th.
Frank, I had two very minor editorial changes for, well, one for each set of minutes. Should I mention them together?
Sure, yeah.
In the regular minutes, under old business, there's a repetition of the word extension in item B. We will request, I believe that should just read, we will request an extension of the grant. We can get rid of the for the extension.
Okay, that sounds good.
Then in the special meeting minutes, in the second paragraph, in the first sentence, there is a superfluous of eligible employees' health insurance on the cost of the least expensive plan. You can delete the of in between least and expensive.
Oh, yeah, least of, yeah.
All right,
That second of is unnecessary.
it's
Right.
straight. Right. All righty, did you get that, Denise? Did you?
I did get it.
All right, thank you.
Did anybody else have any changes or thoughts about the either of those set of minutes? If not, then I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept the May 9th regular meeting minutes and the May 13th special meeting minutes. This is Katie.
And I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are accepted. Okay, next we have the May prepaids and the June warrants. Their prepaid checks are numbered 70042 to 70043, totaling $389.75. The June warrants are numbered 70044 to 70138, totaling $148,692.26. Did anyone have any questions about the warrants? I would just like, did the format that these are in now is just so much better. It's just so much more readable. Whoever did that, thank you.
You know, it's interesting you say that, Frank. That was Denise, and it was a little bit of an accident. But when she sent it to me, I thought, you know what, they're really going to appreciate that, because now they can see that added column. You know, that's where there are the most questions. So it's a happy accident.
Yeah, it's just so much, yeah, it's so much more readable.
Yep. And that is, you know, we had an upgrade to our bookkeeping system, which kind of forced us to make a few changes. And that's a product of learning by doing there.
I had kind of a weird question, you know, on the check 767, it's just $419.80, but it's for May background investigations. Is that like about employment related stuff?
So we do, yeah, so commercial investigations, we do criminal background checks for everybody who works for the library. So for, as part of the onboarding process. So both for employees and volunteers.
It's interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm happy to move approval of the May prepaid and June warrants.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The approval.
Who seconded?
Janet,
That was Janet.
The expenditures are approved. Okay, next is the approval of financial reports. Those
It looks
include,
like we just lost Denise. Oh, no, she's back. Okay.
next is approval of financial reports. We have the May prepaids and the June warrant summary sheet. We just looked at that, and the budget report and the income report. Do we need to reallocate for professional services?
Yes, we should.
Yes, we do.
And what about electronic resources?
You know what, Frank, I would think, yeah, that's not an issue. I think maybe a better place might be, since they're similar kinds of expenses, from salaries.
Oh, I didn't mean from, I mean, I
For,
just mean that's another,
Right.
that's another high.
right,
almost
where we're close. Yeah, I
No,
don't,
well, whatever you suggest, Ike, what do you think?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's probably a good idea to do both of those things. And so maybe if we say 6,000, Eric, feel free to chime in. I'm going to say $6,000 from salaries to professional services.
It might be close.
It might be close. I know we're closing in on the end of the fiscal year, which is
Right.
the only reason, but there's certainly more to, more available to reallocate if you'd be more comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different number. I mean, what we do have outstanding is that we have just signed a contract with our actuary to do actuarial work that's required for some GASB reporting. It's a question of timing for when that payment will actually be made, whether it's this fiscal year or next fiscal year. But what do you think, Eric? Should we do a higher number? Do you think, I mean, there's certainly enough money in the budget balance at this point to do 10 instead of 6, if that gives us.
Yeah, if you take the average, 10 will
Mhm.
probably be a closer number to.
Okay, all right. And then, Frank, as far as electronic resources
Let me,
go,
let me just be clear on what you were just suggesting there. Are you suggesting 6 from salaries?
no, 10 from salaries to professional services.
Okay. I'm sorry, and then what were you saying about electronics?
And then from electronic resources, I think
Annual average is about 76, but I think some of those are like paid up front.
right, some of them are paid up front. That is true for the subscription things. The ones that are not paid up front are things like ebooks, and we've been allocating more. We've been spending more in ebooks lately than we have been in
Maybe 4.
in physical materials. So if we are, I think that would give us a
Or plus the 1,500 that's already there. I think that should cover June.
4 from where?
I would say what would potentially make the most sense would be from books and rental books to electronic resources, but I think I'd like to hear from Jen Ferris about what she thinks about that. Not to put you on the spot, Jen, I saw that grimace.
No, I mean, books or the AV, both of them.
Or
AV
actually,
Low.
yeah, I mean, I think AV is probably, you're right, AV makes a lot more sense. You know, I agree with that. So if we were to reallocate $4,000 from audio and visual materials to electronic resources, Eric, do you think that gives you more comfortable margin there?
So
Is that a yes?
yes,
Yes.
Okay. All right, so with that in mind, I'm gonna make a motion that we allocate $10,000 from the salaries budget line to professional services budget line. And I'm also going to include in that a motion to allocate $4,000 from the audiovisual materials line to electronic resources.
Says
Second,
Katie-
this is
oh,
Heather.
Go ahead, Heather.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that motion carries.
Can I just ask one question before we move on about the water and sewer tax? Is that just not something we pay until the end of this month or something?
You know, I think it's just a little delay in actually getting us the bills. So it's
Oh, wait,
something
Rick
that,
has got his hand up.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
So there's a problem here. We should have got a quarterly bill in March. We did not. So I would have expected another quarterly bill by now. We did not. So I'm gonna have to do some chasing. As you know, there's been some changes, retirement, all this different things going on. I actually don't know what's happening because it's very unusual. I know that the person who was doing it retired, but then they came around, we had a meter reading, you know, sometimes they come in the boiler room, read the water meter, but we haven't seen anybody. So I'm gonna take it upon myself to contact them and see if we can't get a bill before year end. I don't know what's happening with the city in reference to this.
Okay. And as long as they then don't hold us responsible for something we didn't pay that we didn't know we had to pay.
I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay.
Yeah, there have been a lot of changes with the new administration and some new staff at the city. So my guess is that it's just likely a delay.
Is there any, there's the income report.
And there's nothing unusual on that I can see.
If nobody has any questions about that, the income report, then I'm making a motion that we accept the financial reports, which would include the May prepaids and June warrant summary, the budget report as amended, and the income report.
I second, that's Terry.
All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, the financial reports are approved.
And Denise, just for the record, I wanted to let you know that Jean has joined us.
Thank you.
President's report. I think last time I spoke about some changes to the open meetings law, which they're not required changes, but they permit a library to set up video conferencing for their public meetings. And in emergency situations, permit board members to participate in kind of narrow circumstances. I had a brief talk with Ike about this a couple weeks ago. I would like to talk to him again. And I think I might have been remiss. I think I was going to send around some more material on this. At this point, I don't think it's probably in our best interest. I don't think we need to do this video conferencing option for the library. I'm not sure, but I wanted to ask Ike about that some more. So I think I just want to study that a little bit more. And at some point, I think I'll have a recommendation about whether we should do it. If we don't do it, there's no reason to do it right away or anything. There's no time requirement, and we can revisit it at any time. But it doesn't affect the way we do business now. Yeah, that's one thing that's clear, that if you're operating, it doesn't affect the way you operate now. So it doesn't force us to change anything, and we can decide whether we want to in the future do that. So I'm sorry that's a little vague, but the other thing I just wanted to remark upon, which has already been remarked on, this is Janet's last meeting, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Janet has been on the board for 10 years. She's obviously a friend of mine, and she gave me the opportunity to be on the board, and she's responsible for a lot of the changes to the board in the last few years, and I just want to say thank you to her.
Thank you, Frank. And I want to thank the board for the nice gifts that Frank gave me. Left on my porch from the board, and that was really nice.
In a bathtub.
In the bathtub that's on my porch. That's another story, and that won't be there much longer, we hope. But it's been a real honor to be on the board, and a lot of work sometimes, as we all know, but I love the library, so thank you all.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet.
And Frank, thanks for taking over for me.
It's been an experience. Okay, then I think I'm the only one who got this. I got as far as correspondence communication goes, I received a letter, an email from Mary Marcolin. I'll just read it to you. It says, hello, it has come to my attention that there are graphic novels in the public libraries that have sexually explicit pictures and content. Can you tell me why you are okay with this type of material being made available to children in public libraries? Graphic novels like Lawn Boy, Flamer, and Gender Queer are on the shelves and you have ordered them yourselves, exclamation point. Does it concern you that by definition you are a groomer, someone who grooms underage children for sex? People that expose children to sexually explicit media are engaged in grooming. It should be illegal, and yet the public are being forced to pay for this abuse via school and public libraries. Why are you complicit with this? It's time to do the right thing for our kids, draw the line, and say no to grooming in public schools. Mary Marcolin. So that was obviously a little disturbing. Anyway, I responded to that, and I said, Ms. Marcolin, thanks for reaching out and expressing your opinion about the library's collection. With respect to the books you believe should be removed from the library because they contain sexually explicit materials and content, I can refer you to the library's policy manual, which permits taxpayers to ask the library to reconsider decisions about the contents of the library's collection and sets forth a procedure for doing so. I have included a link here. So I just think it's significant that, you know, we should all be aware that there is this kind of feeling out there by some people that the library's collection might not suit their personal tastes. And I don't know that there's going to be more letters like that, but I think you should be aware that at least there was that one. That said, I think we're moving on to the director's report.
All righty, and Denise, just for the record, Carol Daggs is joining us now. And just to, if it gives you any reassurance at all in response to Mrs. Marcolin's letter, the items that she refers to are not available in the children's room. So there's that. So the director's report, we had some good news or late last week concerning reopening. We think it's good news, at least. I know it came as a relief to many staff members when there was a downgrade in the COVID community level from high to medium, which means that we can take a step back in our requirement for masking in the library. Just as a reminder, when the community level gets to medium, that's the point at which the CDC removes the explicit guidance asking that everybody wear a mask in indoor public spaces. Yeah, so we've removed that as a requirement. We had it as a requirement for all members of the staff while inside the building in public and shared spaces, and for members of the public in congregate spaces like meetings and programs. With the downgrade from high to medium, we've removed that requirement. The other metric which we're still following, which is a component piece of the community level, is community transmission level. That remains at high. That's a 4-tier, that's a 4-level system with low, moderate, substantial, and high. We're following that guidance with respect to reopening or expanding the capacity within the building and reopening some, the last closed space, which is the treehouse room, which is a room within the children's room that caters to babies and children. And babies and toddlers, as of this point, still remain ineligible for vaccines and are unlikely or unable to adhere to any other safety protocols, such as practicing good respiratory and hand hygiene, et cetera. That's an enclosed space. So that remains closed, and we're following that community transmission metric, so that when that comes down to moderate for 10 consecutive days, that's when we will re-examining limitations on space and program and meeting capacity. So that's when we would be looking to reopen those rooms. Mechanical improvements, as I said in my report, we had a brief glimmer of hope. We got a message from the contractor saying that they anticipated delivery of equipment by the 15th of this month, and then, which is this week. And then shortly thereafter, we got the message saying, psych, no, we didn't really mean that, or it didn't turn out to be the case. And so now we're back in a holding pattern with the date unknown for when that equipment might arrive. I know that you all are interested in the status of our public website rebuild, which has been a project which has been sort of modified and forestalled by the pandemic as we stopped a complete rebuild to build in new features of our current website for accessibility and to make sure that we could carry on programmatically. But in my attached to my report is a lengthy report from Don and Brendan Kozlowski to let you know that the work to revamp and rebuild the public website is ongoing. There's some rationale for why we're not doing an out-of-the-box solution, why we're going with a more bespoke option, and where we stand in that process. So that was just for your information. If you have any questions, Don is here and he may be able to answer some of them for you if there's anything from that report that you thought you might have a question about.
Is the appendix, is that kind of a like where we are progress wise? Is that?
It is. I mean, the appendix is exactly that. It's where we are progress wise, and then you know, the additional steps that we will need to go through, because you know our webpage is not one individual web page. It's a whole series. You know, like a lot of library web pages, it's not about one thing. It's about several things. So it's about services, it's about programs, it's about policies, it's a PR tool, it's an information tool, it's access to information resources. So it's trying to do a whole lot of things within the space, within the confines of one individual website, which gives it an added layer of complexity over some other websites that you may see.
So is it going to look dramatically different from the way it is currently?
I think the layout will likely be a little more streamlined and a little more cleaner with fewer things on each of the individual pages and likely more. And as you see, the way the web page looks now is different from the way it looked at the beginning of the pandemic. It's a little bit more dynamic. There's a little bit more space on it. And so it is likely to be different from the way it looks now. But not really radically different, I think.
And Frank and board members, this is Don. In the section that Brendan included, the details of what he's working on are actual examples of what the web page at this iteration is. What we thought we might make it look like. And that'll change, the content will change upon different areas that people serve to. We don't, I think in any of these, there's no front page.
Right, there's no, yeah, you're right. There's no front page sample, but
that will be contentious.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because as you know, the issue with any website, and especially one like ours, is that there's always competition for what gets top billing and what goes on the front page and what that looks like. It was a number of years ago now, maybe 2 years ago now, there was a mock-up of what the new front page would look like presented to the board. And if you recall, it was more graphical than text-based, with a lot less stuff squeezed into a small space.
Thank you for the update, Don, and it was really good to read all of those little pieces, even though some of the language is not anything I actually understand. But it's really great to know what's all going on behind the scenes. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I do have a link here just in case everybody wants to peruse while I just put it in chat while we're finishing up the meeting.
And so this figure 5 currently created pages within the system might give you some idea of the complexity of what we're looking at. So, because it does serve this multiplicity of purposes.
Will there be a place for like where it's evident, like where research tools are for?
Yes. Yep. And there will certainly be like an audit of all of the language to see if we can't eliminate as much use of jargon in favor of plain language as we go through. This is where it gets into the weeds when there's, especially when becomes a group effort to design a page to determine what is the appropriate vocabulary to use, what's the appropriate stuff to put on the front page.
Oh yeah, so you sent this demo.
So this is a sample of what the new front page will look like. And as you see, it's much more graphically oriented than the current page.
That was dangerous. I almost lost the meeting. Well, it's great to hear that this is going on. I really appreciate this report. I'm sure the board does. Does anybody else have any questions about the website redevelopment? If not, I guess we'll move on to department reports. Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Ms. Ferris?
Hello. In addition to my report, I am wrapping up the end of the fiscal year in our library software in order for the joint automation at SALS and MBLS to roll over our funds to the next fiscal year. So it's accounting stuff that is sometimes aligns with our actual budget. I like to make it close, but it's just stuff that needs to be wrapped up. I have to pay electronic invoices in our software in order for them to complete the actual project on their end. So that's all I've got, unless anyone has any questions.
I'm kind of worried about the bike challenge situation. Is that because other people are really doing well?
What do you mean the bike challenge?
Right. Do we know where we placed in the?
We don't. I looked before. They've been having some software issues with their leaderboard and trying to get who actually participated this year. But based on the information I have, based on spreadsheets, I think we're still going to win one of the trophies. So we'll find out soon. I'll share that information.
But we're still in possession of both of them, so they'll have to wrestle them away from us, right?
We could declare victory and the
That's it. That's right.
litigation could ensue, of course. If no one has more questions for Jeff, Jen, thank you very much. Catherine?
So in addition to what I have in my report, I thought I would give you a little insight into summer reading because we start on Monday. So summer reading this year, we have a children's and a teen program, which is pretty normal. We'll be tracking how many minutes they read, and then they'll also have some special activity opportunities to earn additional prizes and raffle tickets. The theme this year is Oceans of Possibilities. Renee has plans to turn the entire ground floor into a giant ocean. So I would stop by in a week or two and see. It's going to be epic. I'm pretty excited. We also are taking a very small amount of teen volunteers this summer. So not like pre-pandemic when we would take quite a lot. We're taking a really small number. We're not advertising it too much because it is a small number. We have a few signed up for the first event coming up. We still have some spots left. So if you do know someone that's dying to volunteer, we do have some opportunities. We decided to do that partially coming out of the pandemic to see what can we handle, staffing, and we're going to try out something a little different this year. So it's a great little opportunity for us. We talked a lot about the treehouse room last month. We are very close to being ready for when the pandemic situation lets us reopen. We're waiting on some new signage, and I think there's like one more toy, something like that. So we are almost ready so as soon as the situation improves to the point that we can open, we'll be ready.
And a quick update on youth services staff. Heather Cunningham, our teen services librarian, is now out on parental leave and is in fact newly a parent. So there is a new baby in our midst. So.
Congratulations.
I had a question that came up a couple times in the reports, and that is what is a shelf talker?
So a shelf talker, there's actually a picture of one right on your screen, kind of the top left there. But basically, we create a special sign that fits into a sign holder that you can attach directly to a shelf. And the idea is that you're talking to a patron without actually having to physically speak to them. And partially that's because staff can't be everywhere, and partially because some people prefer not to be spoken to. The ones that we have designed are really nice looking, but they also have a QR code, so they link you back to more information.
That's great.
Yeah, those are really helpful. And we have some really great bulletin boards in the children's room as well that are like read alike. So if you like Harry Potter, you would like these books. And people really love the opportunity to self-serve. They find the information really helpful. The amount of parents I see snapping pictures of book suggestions or asking us, where is this one? So we use these opportunities for passive recommendations whenever we can.
I love the llamas.
There may have been some poop involved, but otherwise it was super, super, super popular.
But there are tarps. There are always tarps.
Thank you, Catherine. Jano?
Hello. Yes, I don't have a lot either. I did want to mention just a couple of things, and to piggyback off of what Catherine was saying with summer reading, the adult summer program is also going to start next week. And Chris has been working on a display case with some of the summer reading prizes for adults, and we are hoping to have a coral reef that's been made by some of our local crocheters that we'll put on display like they had at the Tang Museum. So that should be something fun to look at on the first floor. A couple other things I just wanted to mention. You'll notice the report is definitely more condensed. There's additional information. So if you do want to see that at some point, I have a full report, but this, again, to just try to make it more manageable going forward. And then just a couple programs that I wanted to point out. And the one is Trevor's Author Stage and Local Author Interview Series. So it had some hiccups in getting started, but it's finally off and running. And it's a really great collaborative with Universal Preservation Hall to give local authors the chance to talk about their books and kind of have a conversation with the library as well. So that's been a really nice partnership. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention was a couple of staff continuing education and training opportunities that people took. I'm sorry, my dog is barking again. Of course, just when I unmute. And that is Serving Vulnerable Populations, which was a library journal offering. They've actually done a really great series, in terms of like social emotional learning and like the Serving Vulnerable Populations has a lot to do with connecting people with social services in the community and things. So that's been really helpful. And a lot of people have loved Ryan Dowd's series. He's the person that speaks on homelessness for libraries. And I had several people take the Mental Illness Part 2 course and really appreciate that. So I just wanted to say thank you again to the board for supporting that. Because it's been really an invaluable resource for staff development. So I think that's all I had, unless you have any questions.
The other thing I thought was kind of interesting to me was that Jen Ferris, and when she did a travelogue of her bicycling trip, and that when you switch to Zoom, the registration numbers increased so much, from 20 to 62. And it occurred to me that's probably maybe hard to gauge, like when it would be good to program on Zoom and when to do it personally. Like there's probably a lot of programming that I guess more people would watch if it's available through Zoom, than to the library.
Yeah, we're definitely finding that to be the case. Some programs seem to work really well in person, although our numbers are still lower than they used to be, but that seems to be happening across the board for in-person programs. And then some folks have really liked Zoom and the fact that they don't have to travel and they can just do it at home or it's on demand later on. So we're kind of still feeling that out, like which programs are a better fit for those two different mediums.
Yeah, I was thinking that must be like a hard kind of call, like figuring out what factors in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Brown Bag Lunch is one of the first programs that we've really tried to do a hybrid where we're broadcasting it so folks at home as well as doing it live. So we've been reaching out to some of the different senior living facilities and letting them know that we're having it so that if their residents have mobility issues, that they can also join us that way.
God, that seems like an obvious one that would be good. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And of course, the sentiment seems to change as that community transmission number changes as well.
If nobody else has any questions for Jen, I think we can move on to Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Well, as you can see, the most popular thing is that concrete's been repaired at our parking lot entrance near the Putnam Street ramp. So that was a big change, and I know it's much appreciated, and we greatly appreciate the city for providing some assistance. As it says, there will be some billing, but it'll be very favorable versus a regular contractor. So we greatly appreciate that. Honestly, I can't tell you how many issues there are with pricing and supplies and parts, and you all see it when you go to the grocery store, when you're trying to get stuff. One thing I'd point out, I didn't write it in here because I forgot, but I saw it on the checklist. We purchased a new snowblower. We have a 12-year-old one that's been giving us a lot of problems, and we've had some service and different things, but it's starting to really go. We purchased a new one this time of year, we missed two price increases, and they gave us a very sizable discount. And it equals about 25% of the purchase price. So that was very substantial. All Seasons has been very kind to us. Other than that, paper costs are just getting scary. We're expecting another 20% increase, basically. It's just short supply on everything. I'm trying to work as far ahead as I possibly can and reduce the pain, but by fall, that's going to be pretty much impossible. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments. You know, the guys are working hard. You know, we're really trying to handle it all in-house as much as we can.
I think this is a good opportunity to publicly acknowledge the extra mile that all of the people in the operations department have gone to fill in for, you know, as I said in my report, this is one of the last areas where we are having a real challenge with staffing issues, filling some vacancies there, which means that Rick himself and Dan Salmon and every other person in that department are really pulling extra duty to keep us operating smoothly and safely. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick, for
Thank you.
shouldering extra load. Thank you. I know it's hard to hire and keep people these days, good people, right?
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I'm begging because they weren't hired to work all these hours or weekends, and you know, so far to this point, but now that summer's in full swing, it's even becoming more challenging, and we're hoping to find some kind of solution. It's just not working out in our favor.
Well, thanks for your efforts. Thanks for caring about doing a good job. Kelly?
It's pretty short and sweet this month. We have one appointment, Shelver for Youth Services, Julie Freeburn. And like Rick said, we have a building maintenance worker and a cleaner position, and coming soon a monitor position as well. So it's been very difficult. They've been posted for months and we've gotten nothing. So,
Wow.
take it day by day and keep trying. So yeah, we have the one appointment, and other than that, it's pretty short this month.
All right, then I will move that we appoint Julie Freeburn as a part-time shelver.
This is Heather. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposition? Okay. Ms. Freeburn's appointed. So we had health insurance open enrollment.
Yep, it just finished up today. Finished actually at 6 o'clock. Is the last when it closes. We got everybody did what they were supposed to do, so we're all good.
Okay, and then we have the assistant director position is opening, and I guess there'll be some interviews in the future.
Yes, yep. So once I guess our deadline comes, we'll organize with everybody to set up interview times.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think we have any committee reports. Old business? No.
No old business this time.
New business? What's left? We have a resolution of commendation for Janet Lindner. Action is required.
Wow.
I think you have to recuse.
The only problem with it is my name is spelled wrong in
Oh,
some places.
Okay.
It's,
So we
it's
will
not-
fix that. You must be used to that by now, Janet, right?
I am, and it's not even my name, it's my husband's name, so it's really annoying. But anyway, yeah,
Oh, I see when it jumps, it's funny, it jumps out at you as soon as you say that.
right.
Yep,
But thank you so much. That's,
but we will correct that for the record, absolutely.
thank you.
And to the chorus of voices expressing their appreciation, and certainly, you have my gratitude for your service to the library, the community, and your support for me personally. So I really appreciate everything that you've done for us.
Thanks, Ike. I did my best, but we had some interesting times.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, thank you very much. This is very nice.
I'm going to formally move that we endorse the commendation for Janet Lindner.
I make a motion that did you make the motion then, Frank, or do you want me to make the motion?
I think I made the motion.
Okay, then I'll second it. This is Katie.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Does anybody oppose? All right, that motion carries. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you all.
Do we have an executive session
We don't have a need for
in our
one.
future? No. Okay. Then I guess we can adjourn the regular meeting. And the board is going to have a retreat, so to speak, kind of an educational retreat. So I'm not sure how you want me to handle that, Ike.
All right, so I think I think if the meeting is officially adjourned, then we can stop the recording. And depending on who you need to be here, do you need anybody beyond the trustees to be here?